Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me on another edition of Inside Automotive right here at cbtnews.com. A lot of dealers are still trying to make sense of what their stores are really worth, especially with everyone throwing around blue sky like it's the only way to value a dealership. Today we're breaking down the truth behind valuations and what you can actually do to maximize the value of your store. Joining us with what you need to know is co-managing partner of Bel Air Partners, Todd Berko. You've seen him here before on CBT News. Todd, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Sure. So, as I said in the opening, it seems to be the end-all, be-all. What's the blue sky bringing on my Ford store, or Toyota store, or Mitsubishi store, or what have you? And you guys feel a little bit different about that, right? Is estimating blue sky? It's not the only way to value a dealership, right?
It's not the only way to value a dealership. There's other methods, there's return on investment, there's multiple of EBITDA, which all the private equity people use.
Yeah.
There's multiple of EBITDA, which is how public companies are valued. All these things go into it. They all follow the same tenets, though, which is, what do I earn now? Mm-hmm. What do I think I'm going to earn in the future? Mm-hmm. How easy it is to get to my earnings growth, and how predictable my earnings growth is. But one thing that the return on investment and other methods do that blue sky, they take into account working capital requirements, and blue sky doesn't. So it's a good thing to actually do your initial negotiation in blue sky, but you should look at the other methods.
So using different valuation methods obviously will yield different results, right?
Well, that's interesting. We've actually done the high school algebra required, and you can actually get them to be almost identical if you make certain assumptions about working capital requirements, capital improvements, asset turnover. And that's why I like to use multiple methods, because each method has its strengths, and weaknesses. So if you look at them all, plus you match it with what your buyers want to look at, that gets you the maximum price. Because sometimes your best buyer may be a private equity firm that wants to get into the businesses and willing to pay a premium, but they look at multiple of EBITDA. And so you have to focus on that for them.
Sure. When discussing valuations for a particular franchise, obviously I've spoken to a lot of people in the industry, dealers and advisors and what have you. Many people do quote blue sky multiple, seems to be the go-to, as I mentioned. Are you saying that that's just not accurate right now?
No, it is accurate. And I like what I see in negotiations are, you'll do the letter of intent and you'll do it as a multiple of blue sky. And remember, multiple of blue sky captures the same thing that the other ones do. Like I said before, what it earns now, what it can earn, the growth, what the predictability of that growth is. It's all captured. We use a shorthand in this industry, Mercedes, BMW, Chevy, Toyota. And really, when you do that, it's really what you're saying is, what do these brands grow at? What is my potential? And that feeds it back. So it's always good to do it. And you also have to remember, these other things, working capital and other investments, they may be a part of the negotiation later on. So you're going to drift to those valuation methods as the buyer figures out how much cash he really has to put in the deal. So you have to actually look at all of them all at one time.
Gotcha. Speaking of which, what is the market like right now?
I think the market's strong, and I think it's strong for a couple of reasons. As you know, I monitor what the blue sky multiple are the public companies. So I do believe in blue sky, obviously.
Okay.
And that has been trending upward since the pandemic. Obviously, the earnings were high in the pandemic, which depressed blue sky multiples. But now, they're pushing 7 times, which, given a lot of their portfolios, is a strong valuation. And the other piece you have to remember is that a lot of the buy-sell activity is non-economic. So if I'm a dealer, I'm getting older, my family situation changes, what I want to do with my life changes. So I may be wanting to sell. Now, when I sell, I want the maximum price. So there's always deal flow coming in. So I think it's a healthy market right now.
Yeah. If I'm a seller right now, listening to you have this discussion, and I'm thinking I want to either sell now or in the near future, what should I be doing right now? What should I be focused on?
Well, I think one of the things that people don't focus on is documentation. And the reason why I stress that is, you'll go into a dealer's office and he'll explain, well, I made $2 million and I have another $500,000 of ad back. If you can document those ad backs, they're much more likely to be accepted by the buyer.
Okay.
So if, for example, somebody identifies something and then I can identify it in the accounting statements and I can point right to it, then the person's going to agree to it. But if I start saying, well, you have to look at it as an American Express bill or this or that, it's too much brain damage.
Yeah.
That he doesn't want to go through it.
Right. And the ad backs for every dollar, you could be getting up to 7 back. So, I mean, that's something should be focused on.
Well, actually, depending upon the franchise, up to 10.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not insignificant. And you also, when you do ad backs, you want to make sure that you're realistic. Adding back your wife's salary who doesn't work there, I mean, that's perfectly acceptable, or your boat or your plane. But you don't add back the Christmas party and say, well, I really don't have to throw it. You can't, you gotta, and also, you really want to limit it. Once you get past a certain list, the guy just starts scratching his head and going, how much more do I have to go through?
Sure.
Again, simple is better.
Would you add back in payments on loans that would be cleared up in the transaction? I mean, if I'm paying $30,000 a month on either interest or a loan payment, but that's going to be cleared up, that would be an add back, right?
Non-floor plan interest is always an add back because you have to remember the multiples that everybody focuses on assumes a dealership that has no non-floor plan debt.
Right.
So therefore you add that back. Another clear add back is amortization good amortization of leasehold improvements if you own the real estate.
Okay.
Non-cash charges in general you can add back. One add back that people don't talk about a lot is taking your depreciation and moving it from tax-based to a GAAP basis. So if you do straight line depreciation, your depreciation number may go down. Again, every dollar you save, maybe $5 to $10 in extra value.
Yeah, absolutely, no question. And obviously with some dealers out there, they get their store so tidy to sell, it's kind of like your home. They end up keeping the store. Does that ever happen?
Oh, unfortunately it does, because all of a sudden you realize how great your store is and why do I want to get rid of it?
Exactly. Right.
I mean, that's a big piece of it. Sometimes we do our job too well.
Yeah, exactly. A friend of mine he said, I want to sell this year, so I brought in a hired gun. I know I'm paying too much for the guy. He's to run the store. He came from one of my competitors. He was knocking the cover off the ball there. I was able to get him. I hired him. We got the store fixed up. The place looks great. I'm ready to sell. And I said, hey, I saw him 8 months later. I said, hey, did you sell? He goes, sell? Are you kidding me? This guy's making more money than I've ever dreamt of before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. Obviously, the other part is that you get it going and the price you think it's worth all of a sudden goes up.
Yeah.
And you say, or my son who wasn't interested in being in the business now sees how much money he can make versus being an accountant or a lawyer or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, I want to be in it now.
Right.
It's
right.
all that.
Changes everything, right?
Well, and you have to remember when you bring somebody else in, it's more likely to change more quickly because the existing dealer, there's been guys who worked with him for 10, 15 years. He's been to their family's weddings.
Yeah.
He's been part of their social fabric. And then to call him in and say, after 20 years, you're not really doing it anymore.
Yeah.
I have to get rid of you. That's an emotional toll some people don't want to take. But a new guy comes in, he cleans it up, and all of a sudden it's running smoothly. It's easier to operate.
Absolutely.
And the guy gets energized.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No question. Hey, let me ask you, with all of the headwinds that we see out there, I should say the uncertainty right now that's out there in the marketplace between tariffs and affordability out there that we hear so much about, and some of the craziness that's coming out of, I'm going to say not the White House, but Washington, D.C. as a whole, just came off of 40-some days of a government shutdown. What kind of an impact does that kind of an environment have? Are dealers sitting on their hands right now going, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to sell. Or does it not?
No. It does have an impact. They're becoming more cautious.
Okay.
I would say that. They're becoming more cautious, but you've got to remember the difference between a dealer and an investor, let's say in the stock market, is these are long-term assets.
Yeah.
You know, you can say we've been through ups and downs for the past 20 years, but if you owned a Mercedes dealership in Florida, you'd be a pretty happy guy living through the ups and downs.
That's
so
right.
These people have been battle worn. Now, their timing, they may be a tougher negotiator.
Yeah.
They may use it as an excuse. But, you know, we'll work it out, because think about it this way. Affordability is a problem, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now used cars become more important. Service becomes more important. You know, to focus on these businesses just as new car businesses was something that, you know, the public investors did 10, 15 years ago. But these are multifaceted businesses.
They really are.
One.
Yeah, no question.
So there's that. It's just like, you know, I mean, 5 years ago, you were interviewing people saying, well, sell your car dealership. People are going to they're going to get their self-driving electric car, is going to pick them up, take them to work. And then another electric car is going to take their wife shopping, and we're not going to need dealerships anymore. And what followed is 10 years of tremendous profits.
Right.
So
you're right.
You know, I'm not a soothsayer, so
yeah.
I just thought this has been a good business, and people got to get from one place to another.
That's right. Let me ask you this before you leave, and I appreciate all the time you've given us here. Let's talk about two franchises that in the last couple of years have been troubled, and that's the Stellantis group and also Nissan. Where are you on those two items? I mean, if you get are they selling? Are they people buying them? Are they feeling good about Nissan? Are they not? What's the deal on those?
There's always opportunity. You know, I've been valuing a lot of Stellantis dealerships recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're having a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if I'm in the used car business, I want a new car franchise because it gives me more credibility.
Yeah.
It gives me access to the, to the
for sure.
captive.
Yep.
So all of a sudden now, maybe it's not another dealer, it's a used car guy, or now a GM can afford to buy it. You know, their prices have obviously sagged.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's no buyers for them. And then you have to remember the sellers go, well, you know, I just bought a Hyundai store and that's on the rise. I want to fund that. Maybe I'll sell my Nissan store. I had a good run with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah.
There's all this portfolio movement going on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, there's always a buyer. I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, we've sold in the past 18 months 3 or 4 Mitsubishi dealers, and at good multiples too, because there's people who there are people who actually like the brand, and there are people who see it as a path towards greater things.
Right. A friend of mine just acquired a Mitsu store, and he's doing great with it, and he's focused very much on used cars. There's enough cars in service in his PMA that he's doing pretty decent with. And he's feeling very good about the future. Listen, it's not a Toyota store, as we know. Mitsu is not a very high volume store, but he's crushing it on used cars, and he's feeling good about it. To your point, it's his first store, and that's probably a great place to start if you've got limited funds. And once you get your foot in the door of being a new car franchise dealer, then who knows what opens next, right?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I have an acquaintance or a friend in the car business. He started out as being a counterman in a Buick dealership 35 years ago. Now he's got every toy he wants and he's doing rather well. Yeah. So you just, sometimes you just got to get on the field. That's right. That's a good way to put it. Todd Berko, co-managing partner at Bel Air Partners. Thank you so much for joining me on the show once again. Very much appreciate it. I know our dealer community will get a lot out of your visit with us. So thanks so much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.